Emotion is shaking the walls of Windsor. At the center of the royal shaking that has engulfed Buckingham Palace are Prince William and Princess Catherine, who are in shock at a devastating announcement that has the potential to permanently alter the monarchy's trajectory. In private, King Charles, who is calm and robust in public, has revealed heartbreaking news that has left his oldest son and daughter-in-law speechless. Futures have been questioned, voices raised, and tears shed behind royal doors. William and Catherine, who were already bearing the burden of responsibility, found the king's revelation to be extremely personal. In addition to being his heirs, they also adore him as son and daughter-in-law. This was not the type of information that was conveyed via royal couriers or press releases. This was heartbreaking, honest, and unvarnished. How are the Prince and Princess of Wales going to handle this unforeseen load? And would this be the start of an unimaginable change for which neither of them was prepared? The royal family is completely disturbed, and you won't want to miss the personal details, the behind-the-scenes reactions, and the emotional aftermath. The future king and queen may have to make greater sacrifices than they have in the past due to the uncertain road ahead. Stay tuned and watch till the end. The truth is more heartbreaking than anyone expected. The announcement that shook the crown. Something significant happened right before the order of the bath service, not in the large hall, but in a private, quiet conversation between a father and son. In a seemingly insignificant gesture, King Charles III gave Prince William a gentle pat on the arm. It went beyond simple royal manners. It was a moment of wordless reality as both men prepared for what was about to happen, a father's silent consolation. There was no longer a developing storm, it was here. The monarchy took a dramatic and unexpected shift in early 2024 as the United Kingdom adapted to life under King Charles. Long renowned for his poise and well-chosen words, the king broke the news that shocked the realm. He had cancer. No scheduled address included this. There were no flags raised, not a trumpet. It proved that doctors had discovered something much more terrible when treating an enlarged prostate. Cancer, a word that reverberated through a nation's hearts and the halls of power. The world was informed in January 2024 that the king would have a routine operation to treat a benign enlarged prostate. It sounded doable, normal, even comforting. In a composed statement, the palace urged that there was nothing to worry about. However, that was not the whole story. A new diagnosis was made after more scans. It was a revelation that changed people's lives, not just another problem. Although the sort of cancer was not revealed, doctors discovered it. The mood behind the scenes abruptly shifted from everyday worry to a royal emergency. Royals typically avoid sharing medical information. They use pageantry and pearls to cover up grief. Charles, however, disregarded the regulations. He was not going to hide. A sitting king publicly revealed a cancer diagnosis while still in power for the first time in British history. Centuries of never complain, never explain were broken by this ruling. And it revealed something rare, a monarch willing to lead with vulnerability. His decision was more than just a personal one. It had historical significance. Global media outlets, which are typically ready for royal scandal, took a different tack. The headlines weren't nasty. Charles felt near for once, not far away, not up there, simply put, human. The crown was viewed as a reflection of everyday life by many who had previously viewed it as a sign of a chilly ceremony. Charles was no longer merely a king in that instant. He was a patient, a husband, and a father. And the world responded with unprecedented empathy. Prince William had to confront a reality behind the scenes that he had never wanted to confront at such a young age. He had been training to be king all his life, but not in this manner. Not when his father was suffering from a disease. Not when Catherine, his wife, was quietly fighting her struggle. He was struck deeply by the seriousness of it all. He wasn't merely getting ready to be a country's leader. He was seeing his father gradually deteriorate. Every public appearance turned into a show, requiring him to stand tall while rattled, to smile while grieving. He was more than simply the heir. A son on the verge of heartbreak, he was. Princess Catherine, another royal, was discreetly battling her health issue while King Charles dealt with his diagnosis. It looked insignificant at first. However, as the testing went on, it became clear that Catherine was also coping with a major medical problem. Insiders hinted at a difficult recuperation process, but the palace stayed silent to preserve her privacy. She remained a mother, a wife, and a potential queen throughout it all. No title could ease the triple load. Queen Camilla was the only person with a close-up view of Charles's misery. She was initially afraid for the guy she had loved through decades of turmoil, controversy, and salvation, not for herself. Her natural tendency was to defend the crown, to keep it safe from media abuse and public fear. Slowly, though, Camilla understood that this was not an image moment. It has to do with heritage, humanity, and truth. She was therefore not only queen, but also Charles's pillar of support, personally loyal and emotionally unflinching. From duty-bound to profoundly human, her metamorphosis reflected that of the monarchy. King Charles made a brief public declaration. However, it was strong. His decision to disclose his condition sparked a nationwide movement. Campaigns to raise awareness about cancer grew. Donations to charities increased. Prostate screening appointments for men have increased according to UK GP clinics. Because a king dared to speak, lives were being saved. Charles redefined leadership in the process. He reminded us that even people wearing crowns experience pain, anxiety, and bleeding. The monarchy was not undermined by his candor. It brought it to life. King Charles is still receiving therapy as of right now. The palace provides cautiously optimistic reports. More state duties have been subtly taken up by Prince William. He's taking the stage as a guy getting ready to lead on his own, not as a prince in waiting. The monarchy is caught between tradition and change, between the past and the future, a storm no one could prepare for. More than merely a royal headline, the news of Catherine's illness exposed a very personal suffering. The Princess of Wales had to deal with the unfathomable stress of upholding her roles as a mother and future queen, in addition to a personal health issue behind the castle walls. She didn't break down, though. Quiet courage was her choice. She demonstrated that true strength is steady rather than loud by protecting her kids, maintaining her composure, and bearing the weight with dignity. The entire globe held its breath on March 22, 2024. In a video message, Catherine spoke to the country while wearing a simple yet purposeful outfit. Her voice quivered a little, a rare break in the meticulously manicured royal persona, but it only strengthened what she was saying. She told the truth. She was at risk. She asked for understanding rather than sympathy. She spoke in that instance not only as a monarch, but also as a wife, mother, and a woman facing a very personal struggle. Catherine demonstrated to us that strength does not equate to stoicism. It entails getting up every day, despite the awful weight. Even though she was not wearing a crown that day, her composure made her feel even more like a queen. She provided something new in a society that frequently wants women, particularly royal ladies, to be happy no matter what. Truth. She also altered the whole meaning of royal resilience in the process. The monarchy couldn't write this chapter for William and Catherine. Fear, uncertainty, and cancer don't follow the rules. All of a sudden, it was about bedtime stories, heartfelt good nights, and whispered assurances to their kids rather than tiaras or titles. Nevertheless, the pair persevered through the storm together, finding strength in their relationship. The royal household had already been rocked by the king's personal diagnosis. However, something unexpected resulted from Catherine's illness. Prince Harry's discreet return for a clandestine visit. No cameras, no news releases. The royals were just individuals for a short and vulnerable period, parents, siblings, and sons, brought back together by common suffering. The royal family displayed their genuine selves during the peaceful times, not with fanfare, but with devotion and affection. The late-night hospital visits and the hushed prayers were not captured by the cameras. However, the family depended on one another in a manner that the public seldom saw within the walls of Windsor, Buckingham, and Sandringham. As he battled cancer, King Charles started to re-enter public life with a different kind of presence. The rigid, occasionally distant king was no more. He was replaced by a guy who had grown wiser with age and softer with pain. Every greeting and every speech suddenly had greater significance, as though he had developed a more human perspective on his people. Inside the palace, a silent revolution was taking place, but the public only witnessed Charles's valiant homecoming. The king was making plans for the future in addition to his recuperation. Making sure Catherine would be referred to as Queen Catherine upon William's accession to the throne was a critical decision at the center of that strategy. It was more than just a formality. It served as a metaphor. It was a legacy. This was not a hasty choice, according to those close to the king. It was a gradual understanding based on years of witnessing Catherine's consistency, poise, and dependability. She never faltered in the face of personal adversity, public criticism, or family scandals. She exemplified responsibility without pursuing fame. Charles also took notice. Catherine didn't have any titles or money. Both of her grandparents were coal miners. Public housing was where her mother grew up. Nevertheless, she rose, first via love, then via hard labor. Catherine's origins were rooted in middle-class Britain, in contrast to Diana or Camilla, who were descended from noble families. Since she was a member of the populace, she spoke for them. She first met a bashful prince named William at St. Andrew's University. Initially, they were pals, having dinners and giggles just like any other students. Their relationship had developed into love by 2004. By 2011, millions of people worldwide were watching it, making it a royal fairy tale. However, there were hardships behind the glitz. Catherine never pursued the throne, though. She just did what she was supposed to do, which would make her beloved. According to reports, Camilla was among those who questioned whether Catherine was royal enough. But Queen Elizabeth II held a different opinion. She recognized in Catherine the same traits she had long admired in herself: discipline, calm power, and restraint. But before she joined the firm, the Queen herself had advised her to get a legitimate profession. Catherine followed the advice, working for her family's company, honing her photographic abilities, and learning how to confidently handle the spotlight. Catherine has established herself over the years by work that is driven by purpose rather than controversy or spectacle. Her emphasis on mental health, family well-being, and early childhood development has transformed royal charity into something incredibly relevant. She pays attention, she arrives, and no title can create the warmth with which she does it. At 43, Catherine is more than just a princess today. She is a representation of the strength, compassion, and groundedness of the modern monarchy. Catherine is not only by their side, but at the center of Charles's reshaping of the future of the monarchy and William's journey into his destiny. The palace's most reliable figure, Queen Camilla had a difficult road to acceptance. Camilla put in a lot of effort to be perceived as a responsible royal consort, following years of public criticism and scrutiny for her part in the dissolution of Charles and Diana's marriage. And finally, she was successful. However, Catherine's popularity increased more quickly, deeply, and organically. Catherine emerged as a prospective queen-in-waiting that the nation genuinely desired, but Camilla was always viewed as a controversial figure. Even within the palace walls, this disparity was noticeable. Although there was no overt competition, Camilla experienced the coldness of being overlooked. In response, Catherine chose to ignore the court drama and concentrate on her role and her family. Catherine remained loyal when other royals caused scandals or retreated from their responsibilities. Although she didn't garner much attention, she made calculated decisions. She had a private meeting with senior royals. She continued to participate in difficult choices. And Catherine was a reassuring presence when the late Queen was confronted with public difficulties, such as the aftermath of Megxit or Prince Andrew's shame. Following the Queen's passing, Catherine's duties significantly expanded. She did not, however, let her royal duty consume her. She went to pick up her kids from school, she prepared food. In the garden, she played. She also picked local engagements so she could get back home fast. Despite being a future queen, Catherine made it plain that she would prioritize being a mother at a time when royals are expected to do everything. Prince William and Catherine came under even more scrutiny after Prince Harry and Meghan withdrew from royal life. The pair became the de facto spokespersons for the next phase of the monarchy. Catherine served as William's most trusted advisor behind the scenes. She helped him deal with loss, responsibility, and fatherhood. She also softened his public persona and gave him more self-assurance. The castle prepares for emergencies even during quiet periods, and nothing is more delicate than getting ready for a monarch's death. That strategy, known as Operation Menai Bridge, outlines precisely what would occur if that King Charles passed away. The name has meaning. In homage to Charles's tenure as Prince of Wales, the Menai Bridge links Anglesey and mainland Wales. After Queen Elizabeth passed away in 2022, the preparations, which had started quietly years earlier, picked up speed. King Charles's remains would be transferred to Westminster Hall upon his passing. Thousands would wait miles to pay their respects there, the same way they treated Queen Elizabeth. The King and Queen would keep watch. Processions, monuments, and ceremonies would be held throughout the Commonwealth and the United Kingdom. Operation Menai Bridge makes sure that no information is overlooked. Camilla will become the Queen Dowager, a monarch's widow if Charles dies before her. The term Queen Mother, which is only appropriate for the mother of the current monarch, will not be used for her. Princess Diana would have been the Queen Mother if she had survived. Camilla will probably withdraw from public life, relocate to a private estate, and carry on donating to charitable causes, particularly those that assist survivors of domestic abuse and literacy. The throne is not something Catherine is hurrying to get. However, the throne is approaching her. Her influence becomes more sophisticated, and her presence becomes more prominent each year. Strength doesn't always shout, as she has demonstrated. It can occasionally be heard in whispers, through silent devotion, gentle smiles, and handwritten messages. She's not just the future of the monarchy, she's its heartbeat. The monarchy's destiny is at stake, and William and Catherine are at the center of it all. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more royal secrets. Are they prepared to assume the throne, in your opinion? Is it possible for the royal family to weather this emotional storm? Tell us in the comments section below.